It's the Prentice Allsup Heating and Air Coach's Corner, fueled by Donut Country and McDonald's on 101.9, 100.5, 1450, WGNSSports.com, and BigGTV.
And this portion of the Coach's Show is brought to you by State Farm agents Andy Womack, Dana Womack, Celeste Middleton, Alex Williams, Ron Reeves, and Emerson Williams. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Like a good neighbor, Kevin Creasy's here, the head coach of the Oakland Patriots, and the world was shocked. I've just got to tell you, the world was shocked that somebody scored on Oakland. How many? Is it 20 quarters or something like that? I don't know if you keep up with that kind of stuff.
I'm not sure. I know that CPA scored 14.
Yeah.
And Rockville scored 14. So credit to Rockville. I think it was a lot of what they were doing more so than what we were doing. I thought they had a good plan. I thought Coach Counts did a great job. He's doing things right over at Rockville. I think he's doing a heck of a job. And those guys played hard for 4 quarters and, gave us a run for our money and, did a lot of good things offensively, defensively, and special teams. Had 4th and about 16 one time, and their punter pulls it down and gained 16 and a half. And next thing you know, that leads to a score. So we lost a lot of times on 4th downs. They had too many 4th down conversions. They had a 2-point conversion that I didn't really like that much. I was disappointed in. And then, of course, we threw an interception that gave them the ball pretty close to our end zone. So, to their credit, they took advantage of it and, did a good job of, fighting back after we score. First play of the game. Opening kickoff, we returned for a touchdown. So our guys started good, and like I said, those guys from Rockville fought back, and that's a reason why I think Coach Counts has got things going in the right direction over there.
They do. They've got a kid out there, the receiver. I think Chiz his name. He's the real deal, and got him doing the right things. That's for sure.
Yeah, he did a heck of a job against us. He had over 100 yards receiving against us, and I think he was the punter that pulled it down and ran for the first down. So he's a heck of a player, and their quarterback. I thought he played well. I think he's hurt a little bit, but played through it. Just a tough kid, Hamby. He completed a lot of passes and did a good job of running their offense.
I want to talk about your offense. Justice Haggard had 5 carries, 103 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and added 2 interceptions. I think a lot of people, when they look at Oakland, they think, well, they're playing just offense or they're playing just defense. But Haggard's one, Tut's one.
Yeah. They
all play both sides of the ball. Maybe not every play, but a lot of times they're playing offense and defense. And,
we've got about 4, maybe 5 two-way players. Everybody else plays pretty much one way. So, keep those guys kind of fresh. But, every once in a while we'll, still Tut or Justice Haggard or, some of those guys on offense. And, they really like it when they get the ball in their hand. They're pretty explosive guys. And, Joel Wyatt.
Yeah.
He's a heck of a defensive player, but he comes over and plays receiver some for us, and he had a big touchdown catch. The two-way guys, it's just tough to be a two-way guy as a young guy. But some of these guys are, experienced and, 18 years old, just grown men out there able to handle it and, able to learn it and, able to get through practice and going a bunch of snaps in practice, to learn both sides of the ball.
Well, you had Giovanni Malone had a 94-yard kickoff return, opening part of the game.
Yep.
And as a coach, you love that, but as a coach, you also go, that was too quick. You know what I mean? It's like
no,
do you worry about that?
I don't ever say that. I'm fine with opening the game up with a touchdown. 9 seconds into the game, I think, it was like 7-0. But, you worry about how, a teenager's going to handle a big win at Blackman. Right. A short week. You got a short week. You got homecoming. You got an opponent that, those guys looked at the schedule and was like, oh, well, we beat this team. And then next thing you know, we're playing a team that beat them, and all that stuff. Ultimately, it still comes down to how you going to execute, how you going to play, how you going to block, how you going to tackle. And I thought it was two good teams out there playing the other night.
I think you made a good point there when you said you don't know how 16 or 17-year-olds going to react. And I think that's what's so special about high school coaches. You're in college, you're a college coach, you're a pro coach, whatever. They're not dealing with that same young mentality that you're dealing with.
No doubt. And so that's what, you got to deal with. I've got a couple freshmen out there, 14, 15-year-olds, and they're out there starting for us.
Yeah.
And, so we always got to keep that in mind. These kids were just playing middle school ball, big fish in a little pond just a year ago, and now they're thrown in there playing grown men, you know what I'm saying? So, credit to a couple of our freshmen that are playing, and, we got 3 other sophomores that start for us on offense. So this team's a young team.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize it. Some of our guys that get all the credit, they're older, and they've been in Oakland, making touchdowns and all that. But some of these younger guys are the guys that are in the trenches, making big blocks, making big tackles and stuff like that. That, a lot of times they get overlooked.
I think one of the key ingredients with Oakland and your success with the team is the fact that you do play a lot of guys, and you don't mind playing younger guys. I mean, The only way they learn is to play.
That's right. You got to throw them in the deep end, see if they can swim, and a lot of guys get those opportunities, and they can show us whether they can play or they can't play, and a lot of times, it's whether they can or can't play in practice. So, there's times that we spread it around. I think Friday night there was about 9 different people that touched the ball, and nobody got over 5 carries, stuff like that. But, we were putting our best foot forward, trying to beat a region opponent. And, that's what we try to explain to everybody. It's one of those deals. Every region game's as important as the other region game. And so I give our kids credit. They weren't hungover and, didn't use homecoming or something as an excuse. They came out ready to play.
Yeah. I want to talk about Travion Jackson, who is our SRM Concrete Solid Performer, locally grown, nationally known, SRM Concrete. Tell us a little bit about him. I know you read some stats here. They're unbelievable. I know he had 15 tackles.
That's right.
5 for loss. What kind of dominant? I mean, that just changes an offense's whole game plan when you got a guy, I call him a man-child, running in there and disrupting everything.
Yeah, Trayvon's older brother played for us. He's now, a starter at linebacker at Tennessee Tech. But Trayvon has been kind of overlooked. People don't know a lot about Trayvon. He's not too flashy. He can go down and put his hand in the ground and play D-line. And our stats are by JoJo Freeman, so they're accurate.
Oh,
you know
yes.
what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
JoJo has given Kyler, my son, negative 3 yards one time for taking a knee. So he's going to do it by the book.
That's awesome.
So ultimately, there's no fluff. Sometimes you look and you see a linebacker has 22 tackles that game, and 200 for the season. No, Trayvon had 15 tackles, 5 for loss. He recovered 2 fumbles. He forced 1 fumble. He had a sack. I mean, he had everything you'd want as a defensive player, and it's understandable why y'all would name him player of the game. And he just made such an impact. I think Rockville had 31 rushing attempts. We made an effort to make sure that we stopped the run. They had 31 yards. So 31 attempts, 31 yards. You can do the math on how many yards per carry that is. And so big part of it was Trayvon Jackson.
Really a great play in that game anyway, for sure, and a steady influence. He's a man-child. I mean, I don't know how to explain it anymore. I want to ask you something that I've been meaning to ask you. Your defensive line and your offensive line, they're not big. I mean, they're not really big. I mean, I've seen you go up and stack up against some teams that look 3 times bigger than you guys.
Yeah.
How what's the secret? How do you do it?
Well, I tell you now, I give it to our O-line, D-line. They got guts, because if you just look at the kids from Rockville, holy smoke.
Yeah.
Those 3 down linemen, they got 3 down linemen that are as big as anybody we've seen. And you look at the O-lines we've been facing, nobody has a bigger offensive line than the cats we saw from West Virginia or CPA. So every week we go in definitely looking up at people at the coin toss. What they don't have is size a lot of times, but they need to use, their quickness, their technique, what gifts they do have. And, the biggest thing is, like I said, guts, toughness, a mindset that, hey, it doesn't matter how big this guy is in front of me, I should be able to block him or I should be able to get off a block.
Well, Coach, you've got a week off, or not really a whole week, but I know you'll be back in practice probably Thursday or so, Wednesday or Thursday.
Tomorrow. Yep, we'll practice tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, okay. And do you give them some time off during fall break, a couple of days? Or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. We're going to have a bunch of days in a row that are off, and we're going to get a couple of days of practice in, but after a while, we think they need a break from us. We need a break from them. We want them to
heal up a little bit too, I guess.
Yeah, they got to heal up, and ultimately we want to come back re-energized. They need a little time off, get their legs back under them, get their mental focus back where it needs to be. It's pretty stressful playing these region games week in and week out against good opponents. So, they need a little time off. Coaches need a little time off,
Amen, yeah.
And so it's good for us, good for both the players and the coaches.
Well, I hope you have a good one. I know you got Laverne coming up next. We're getting close toward the end, the final stretch drive.
Yep, November.
It's hard to believe it's been that fast. All right, that's Coach Kevin Creasy. This portion of the show has been brought to you by SRM Concrete, the largest ready-mix producer in the county, or the country. Wow. Yet still family-owned and operated. I'm really having trouble reading today, guys. The
county and the country.
Yeah. I'm going to let you read this next time. Locally grown, nationally known, SRM delivers unmatched quality and service. SRM Concrete, you call, we haul.